Yeah.
Matt had wrote a note here. I'm sorry, I jumped on that. What do you think on that?
On what?
On that question about like what
Matt
does
was
a
watching
father?
the home run derby. He has no idea what
No,
we're
it said
talking
about no. Like some of them, you had wrote that you were going to take the question. I think I just missed it, but about from the perspective of not being a father yet, but wanting to be a father.
So, I'm recently married. That process requires a lot of learning about yourself. How do I function now with this adult person, which can be a lot easier to kind of lock in on? I can only imagine I'm not a dad. Someday I will be a dad, fingers crossed. That's going to require a whole new level of self-learning and understanding. And what do you think are some of the main things, some of the most important things a father needs to know about himself?
Well, I can tell you that you're already on the right track, just from committing to your marriage. It's a process of denying yourself.
Yes, that's so good, Brad.
And you build on those lessons in fatherhood and in parenthood in general. Am I right? You know what I mean? It's just a process of denying yourself, and you're already on the right track of it. So, I mean, like I said, potential fathers, don't be afraid. Live up to your innate ability and your innate proclivity to father. It's a thing.
Yeah, that act of stepping to build your own family. It starts with your spouse.
That's right.
And then right away, one of the things that shocked me, especially because we didn't live together in the same city until we were married, was like, oh my gosh, I don't just get to do what I want to do all the time. Like, I'm not the most important thing. And it is a good thing. But I'm saying I have to consider your emotions and everything. I have to consider how this is going to impact you, every choice that I make.
That's right.
And we're going to make choices together because we are this unit now. Two have become one.
That's right.
By the Spirit. And then it was, just so like having a child now now it's like, there are two people ahead of me that I need to consider,
That's right.
let alone myself. And then, or three people ahead of you.
That's right.
Now, that's not to say you need to still prioritize and take care of yourself and do things for you so you don't lose your sense of who you are. Because who you are will be the best person in your family, will be the best husband, the best father. Like if you lose your sense of self, then I think you just kind of become a shell.
That's right.
Catering to everybody else. So I'm not saying it's not important to put time into yourself and be, I guess, really intentional about that. But ultimately, that is the 5% of my week. The other 95% is not putting myself first.
Yeah.
And looking out for my daughter.
That's right.
Looking out for my wife. And that I would say that's not, for me, a default easy thing to do. And it's sometimes I go and just like, well, what about me? Like, what do I ever get to do?
That's right.
And it's like, son, you're not a boy anymore. Like you're a man.
That's right.
And you're not the most important person in the world. Time to grow up. I mean, that might be a little like harsh on myself, but really it's like, that's like just killing my ego a little bit of being like, no,
that's right.
Your needs are not the most important the majority of the time anymore.
That's right. When I was a boy, I thought like a boy. When I was a man,
yeah, and that's okay. And there's a lot of fulfillment that can come out of making sure that your child's needs are met.
Yeah.
And you're there emotionally for them and physically for them and for your wife. And I think that if you always focus on those things, I have found that it has become natural. The response from my wife, from my family, or just the people that I surround myself with is that like, I still get the time. I'm here now. I'm getting to sit with my friends, record, have these conversations. Like I still get plenty of time for me.
Yeah.
If I don't have to be defensive of it all the time.
That's right.
But
that's good. The concepts that God modeled for us in fatherhood, he also modeled for us in terms of how he relates to the church, the bride of Christ. So that husband role is just as important. I mean, you're going to need that to build, on that further stuff. So like, and luckily for us as believers, we have the model of both of those situations to kind of rely on. So
I wonder about like, a lot of people say I'll be a parent when I'm ready, or I'll get married when I'm ready. And from the sounds of it, you're never actually, you can expect you're never actually ready to your level of expected preparedness. But what do you think ready looks like?
I think that the same way that I would talk to somebody or a couple, like premarital counseling kind of thing of like, is that you need to know yourself so that you can know each other.
Mm-hmm.
Mm-hmm.
And I think that like you just take that a step further before you have kids. Of you need to have, I would recommend, not always possible because children can just happen sometimes. But
I mean, they don't just happen.
Right,
You did a
right.
thing, and then I
Right,
think.
but I think that there's a knowing yourself and then there's a knowing each other and having that relationship and understanding that. And I think a lot of times what that means is being able to be real with each other without having
Yes.
emotions play into it, of being able to have real communication with you and your
Honesty,
spouse
vulnerability. Yeah.
of and emotions don't flare.
Yeah.
Because whether you're married and have kids or don't have kids or have 14 kids, there are going to be moments where everything seems like it's going perfectly, and there are going to be moments where everything seems like all hell is breaking loose, and there's going to be every moment in between, right? But being able to communicate and trust your partner to work together to get through whatever that is, I think is you could give a million different things. Well, you need to be financially this, and you need to have this, and you need to do that, and you need to do this. Listen, here's what I know is that my parents raised 4 teenage boys with my dad making $41,000 a year. I don't know how he did it. It makes no sense mathematically to me currently. But what I do know is that there's like this cliche, I'm aware, like there's a will, there's a way.
Yeah.
I truly believe that you're going to figure out a lot of things, but before you can have that will to find a way, you need to have your foundation set. And if your foundation isn't set and there are cracks in it, that's where there are going to be issues.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
Well said.
That's good.